Splice's ending is a harrowing exploration of unintended consequences and how they can spiral out of control. Starring Adrien Brody, Sarah Polley, and Delphine Chaniak, 2009 Splice focuses on a pair of married scientists working on genetic manipulation. Their latest and potentially greatest creation is a human-slash-animal hybrid, which the pair dub Dren. Initially raising the creation as their child, Splice's central creature Dren quickly enters adolescence far earlier than Elsa or Clive could expect. However, this is far from the only transformation that Dren is going through, as she increasingly exhibits new attributes and a lethal side. Splice was a horrifying sci-fi film that generated solid reviews but failed to match its budget at the box office. However, the film's ending remains darkly memorable over a decade since the film premiered. The open-ended nature of the ending leaves plenty of questions for audiences to ponder where a potential Splice sequel could have gone, even as the film clearly plays with a classic theme of the genre. Dren's transformation in Splice explained. Dren's transformation was teased earlier in the film. Dren and Sarah Polley as Elsa looking in a crate in Splice. Dren's transformation in the third act of Splice may have been set up earlier in the film, but it still comes as a harrowing and horrifying turn for the film to make as it approaches the film's haunting ending. Splice's creature Dren was initially biologically a female. Raised as something of a child of the two scientists who created her, Dren seemingly died due to internal instability and the external abuse of her creators. In reality, Dren was going through a physical transformation from female to male. This death was similar to how their test creature Ginger had biologically shifted from female to male, due to a major shift in the animal's hormones. The two entities shared a hodgepodge of DNA from various animals, teasing how Dren eventually go through the same change. In both cases, the newly male creature perceives others as potential threats and quickly goes on the offensive. For Ginger and Fred, the damage was just to them and the reputations of Clive and Elsa. In Dren's case though, their larger body and more dangerous attributes mean that there is far more collateral damage. How Dren's rampage in Splice reinforces the movie's core message. The dangers of untamed science becomes brutally clear in Splice's ending. Dren after becoming a male in Splice. One of the core themes of Splice is the dangers of science when unrestrained by questions of morality. Following in the footsteps of other classic sci-fi horrors like Frankenstein, Splice is focused on how human flaws cause attempts to scientifically attain perfection inherently impossible, often to disastrous results. In Splice, that comes in the form of Dren's final form, with the initially female Dren evolving into a more dangerous male form. This is only amplified by the abuses and failures of Elsa and Clive as parents, turning Dren from a creature into a monster. Lashing out at Clive and Elsa, Dren ends up killing the former, as well as their employer William Barlow and Clive's brother Gavin. The male Dren then assaults Elsa, after which Elsa is able to surprise and kill Dren. Since the beginning of Splice, the moral quandaries inherent to the film's plot were presented to Elsa and Clive as reasons to be cautious with their ambitions. However, their decisions to ignore these warnings, and ultimately their own flaws, helped create Dren in the first place, as well as the circumstances by which Dren could become a threat. Elsa's tragic fate explained. Elsa may survive Splice, but has a far more harrowing life. Splice Elsa. The ending of Splice sees Elsa dealing with the secretive aftermath of her actions. Technically, Elsa and Clive's initial pursuit of new proteins and chemicals through biological experimentation was a success. Dren's body is discovered to possess a number of unique and potentially world-changing scientific advancements. Barlow's business partner Joan Chorot helps cover up the events of Dren's rampage and her company retains the patents on them. Elsa also remains in Chorot's employ, as it turns out she was impregnated during the assault and intends to help Chorot carry their experiments to the next level, despite the danger it poses. Elsa's fate after Splice is a tragic consequence of her own actions. Her commitment to science may be pushed further than ever, but they've come at the cost of her husband and Dren. Elsa had come to see Dren as her child, and it was only through Elsa's brutal treatment of her that Dren became so vicious. Elsa's final words in the film are to brush aside concerns about carrying Dren's child with a dismissive, "What's the worst that could happen?" repeating a phrase she uttered before her doomed experiments began that implies she is doomed to repeat her mistakes.